Good evening. How are you tonight? I'm late. I'm sorry. That's all I can say. I'm sorry. I had like three things go on right before I went on. We had some good news for some buyers, and we had some disappointing news for some sellers. And it was one of those things where I needed to do some paperwork and get it done. I'm going to go with 6 minutes late. And again, I apologize, but I have to do the real estate business from time to time at a certain time. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Schenk. I am the founder and manager of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a small residential real estate brokerage primarily. We help buyers buy homes and sellers sell theirs. In the evenings, I do a live stream. It's called the Deerwood Realty live stream. That's what you're watching right now. It's on YouTube. I'm starting to think about expanding it to other platforms. I'm not seeing what I need to see here. There, that was a shot to YouTube. I'm not seeing what I'm supposed to be seeing. So look for that. If you want to follow me on a different platform, that's cool. I am going to stay on YouTube. It's just I'm going to branch out a little bit. I think that putting all your eggs in one basket is stupid in this particular case, based on the history of YouTube. But anyway, we do the live stream, and your comments are welcome. You feel free to light up the chat. It doesn't happen very often, but happy to see it happen anytime. I actually had a great go a while ago, and then everything kind of fell apart. So I don't know if it's my fault or not. It's a weird week. Let me tell you what it's like to be a real estate agent on this week. Christmas is Sunday. I think it's Sunday. And people get off of work for travel. People get off of work for the holiday starting like Monday, actually starting Friday of last week. And so this whole week is just kind of strange. Not everybody gets off, don't get me wrong, but like parking lots are full right now, which is great for retail. Driving is iffy. I almost got in 2 accidents today driving. Neither one of them were my fault. No one's looking at real estate. So if you have a listing outstanding right now, it's probably going to be live until after the new year. If you're coming to market because you're desperate to sell, which is not a good. I mean, this is seasonally desperate to sell. If you're a buyer, the inventory right now sucks. So, I mean, a combination of those two things, not great. But it leads to maybe what I would say, for me, it leaves a little more free time. I have more free time to do things. I didn't get to what I needed to get to today, but I should this week. But it's kind of funny, and you'll see it tonight. Like Twitter, for real estate, Twitter's not doing real well as far as breaking news. Had a wealth of treasure trove of articles came out today, but I mean it's going to be pretty bad later in the week. So, will I stream through the week? Yes. Am I planning on streaming on Christmas Day? I don't know. I haven't typically been streaming on the weekends lately. I don't know. Sewer update. I didn't get to it today. I need to get to it. It's been like a month. I'm embarrassed. Lack of motivation. Not really. Just have other things to do. So, how are you? How has your day been? We're going to go over a bunch of stuff tonight. There's a real estate brokerage. I believe they're out of Florida. That's just a scummy organization. It's hard to believe that they could exist in this space in 2022, but they do. And attorney generals across the United States are coming after them with lawsuits. My question would be at some point, like, how are they affording these lawsuits? There was a company called Rex in Texas, I believe, that was doing weird things with commissions, and they brought suit against the National Association of Realtors. I always wondered, like, who was backing them to where they could, continue to fight lawsuits. Lawsuits aren't cheap. I think they ended up not being in business anymore, or just having like a shadow staff so that they could continue their lawsuits against the National Association of Realtors. Um, so yeah, totally lost my train of thought there. I apologize. Uh, we do have quite a few things to go over, other than now I remember, other than terrible real estate brokerage. We go over some. There's the National Association of Realtors lead economist Lawrence Yun put out something that said that this isn't like 2008. This market isn't like 2008, and it's not going to be. I thought that was an interesting declaration. And then we have an article about real estate TikTok not being legit. You don't say, right? What is that about? Who would have believed that? Real estate Twitter not legit? I don't know. I follow a lot of guys I think are legit. I do. Anyway, those are the things we're going to go over. Plus, there's one other thing we're going to go over, and that is a story that I was seeing on Twitter today about Stanford and the use of the word American. Let's get to that now, shall we? Let me do that. I'm sorry that no, I can't do it yet. Just a second. Please hold. Okay. Now, let me put this story up here and let's just talk about it for a second. Now, what I saw on Twitter was many accounts saying that Stanford has decided that the word American is harmful language and should be banned. Now, reading the article, it doesn't appear to be the case, which is good. I mean, I thought it didn't pass the smell test in some ways. And it seemed like such an odd word to go after. But at first it was going to be, it was like manufactured outrage. Like, we're all supposed to be mad that Stanford's saying that American's a bad word, but it doesn't add up when you read the article. The New York Post is definitely not a publication that would how do I put it? I mean, they would not, if they had a chance to really run Stanford into the ground, they would. Let's put it that way. So it says Stanford releases a guide against harmful language, including the word American. So, it would be like, to me, it's like, who are these communists? What in the world are they thinking? Why do they hate America? But that's not the case. It's not the case at all. It doesn't appear to be, at least. And this is what I don't like, and this is what I try to do. Yesterday I was accused of clickbait of my titles, which I didn't really think were that bad. I mean, I thought they were right in line with everything. So, I mean, when other people do it, it's okay. When I do it, I get called out on it. It's kind of weird. Let's go over the article. It says Stanford University released a guide this week on harmful language that it wants to remove from its online properties, noting that the term American is a no-go. Okay. The language guide, which was published Monday, aims to eliminate many forms of harmful language, including racist, violent, and biased language in the Stanford websites and code. Which is, at some point in time, okay, maybe not so much now. Launched in May, the project known as the Elimination of Harmful Language Initiative is ridiculous. lists the prohibited terms under 10 categories, including racism, homophobia, and ableism. Under a section titled Imprecise Language, the guide advises readers to replace the term American with U.S. citizen. The explanation says American refers to people from the United States, often refers to people from the United States only, thereby insinuating that the U.S. is the most important country in the Americas, the packet reasons, noting that the region actually includes 42 countries between North and South America. Now, look, I mean, do people in the other 42 countries between North and South America believe that they are living in America? It's convoluted and stupid. U.S. citizen is, I think, even worse because you're assuming everyone here is a U.S. citizen. You could say, I think, and we all know that's not true. So, U.S. resident, I mean, there has to be some understanding of immigration, right? But probably not, because that's not what these people are thinking. It says other listed terms include immigrant, which should be replaced by person who has immigrated, or non-citizen, to avoid referring to people by single characteristics, while walk-in hours, like, that's funny. So you can't refer to people. So whites, African Americans, Asians, all those words will have to be thrown out. While walk-in hours is swapped out for open hours to include those with disabilities. Now that's fascinating. Think about that. I didn't make this up. The common phrase beating a dead horse is also cautioned against, based on the idea that it normalizes violence against animals. Now, how many times do you think beating a dead horse shows up on the Stanford University website? Normalizes violence against animals. The horse is dead, so why are you beating on it? See, it's bad. That's the whole thing. It's bad. You're beating on a dead horse. If you're beating on an alive horse, that wouldn't be any better. In addition, the 13-page list outlines several slurs against black individuals, which I was told it was African American, so I'm behind the times. Indigenous groups, wheelchair users, LGBTQ plus individuals, and others. The purpose of this website is to educate people about the possible impact of the words we use, the guide's preface read. Language affects different people in different ways. We are not attempting to assign levels of harm to the terms on this site. We're also not attempting to address all informal usage of language. I feel like they're trying to set a trend. They're trendsetters. Still, some readers criticize the publication on social media. Political correctness is fascism pretending to be manners, wrote one Twitter user, quoting the late comedian George Carlin. Now, George Carlin, just for your own understanding, George Carlin, when I was growing up, was considered, I mean, how do I put it? He was a rebel. His ideas were way out there. And now it's like he's not, he's like, he would be a moderate. Leland Stanford would be ashamed of the institution he co-founded, media strategist Gabriella Hoffman wrote, referring to the prestigious university's founder, who was briefly the Republican governor of California. Guessed by naturalized legal immigrant American parents and relatives are harmful now. It's unclear who exactly was in charge of compiling the list for the EHLI. In a statement to the Post Tuesday, D. Mostafi, the university's assistant vice president of external communications, said the guidelines were meant for internal use. In this case, the EHLI website was specifically created by and intended for use within the university IT community. It will continue to be refined based on ongoing input from the community. I just don't know here. I feel like they were an easy target. I feel like when you write stuff like this, telling people what to say, you're an easy target. I also think that it's funny that they think that when they write an internal document in 2022, it's going to stay internal. I also think that if you don't understand the dynamics of the workforce today, if someone writes this stuff and you disagree, you are fomenting violence and hatred, and your position is automatically eliminated. So there will be no discussion amongst the shareholders in this case, um, about the shareholders being the people, we like to use that word, um, the people that are actually stakeholders. I'm sorry, the stakeholders in this case will actually not speak up in any way. They will keep their mouths very shut. And whatever the university, I don't want to use inflammatory rhetoric, whatever the university people in charge write, the rest of the group will go along with it. Not happily, but they don't want to lose their jobs. And, the way it is now, I mean, you lose your job, you lose everything. Um, Especially if you lost your job from Stanford. I mean, where are you going to get another job if you lost your job at Stanford? Like, you know, you might end up having to be a real estate agent. The horror. So what do we make of this? I don't know. Is it a nothing burger? I read a little bit later that they took it offline. If you think it's not going to reappear in like 30 other universities, you're kidding yourself. It seems to me like changing terms, um, like between walk-in hours and open hours, for instance. If you want to treat people equally, you 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 try not to point out differences between them. So when you say like we have to change the words from walk-in to open, now we're looking at a single group and saying, okay, well, you can't walk, so therefore we're not going to be able to use that word anymore. I mean, I don't want to look at I don't even know what the word is anymore. Disabled people. I don't want to look down. I don't want to I don't want to look down on them. I don't want to have any of that. But I think that when you make exceptions for these words, you're causing that. So I'm not for what Stanford did here. Um, but I'm not surprised. I'm also not surprised. In real estate, one term that I remember off the top of my head, there's no longer master bedrooms and a butler pantry. I don't think is going to be able to fly at some point. Um, Walk-in closets will be open closets based on the Stanford article. It's just odd to me. We've got so many things going on wrong in the world, and we're going to focus on this. Okay. Deerwood Realty. You can't see it though because I hit the wrong button. Deerwood Realty. What did the rates do today? Well, we'll go down and look. Rates 30-year fixed 6.38%, up 11 basis points from yesterday. Boy, it seems like yesterday was the day to get a loan, or even the day before, Friday. Bank of Japan did something today. I don't really understand it, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. It does look like rates are continually going, have been going down for the last little while. Good for the housing market, but I think just, once you turned off the spigot, it's not going to get turned on right away. So On to the Twitter, Charlie Billelo. The U.S. Housing Market Index, a measure of homebuilder confidence, fell for the 12th consecutive month to its lowest level since 2020, before April 2020, which was a short-lived decline during the pandemic shutdowns. This is the lowest since 2000. So I'll have to look at something here. I had a showing request for one of my listings, and I don't like to make agents wait. Before April 2020, which is a short-lived decline during the pandemic shutdowns, this is the lowest since 2012. Now, I mean, on the 2012, it seemed like it was rising. Confidence was rising. Now it's not great. It's a little bit more confident than the pandemic. Again, like, I mean, we're just looking at these numbers, and we have no idea if they're going to get any worse or any better, just based off of the chart. We actually have to have something like we have to have 30 more days of history to create the chart. So I don't know. Ann Sonders, where the buyer's perspective buyer's traffic portion of the National Association of Homebuilders Market Index was unchanged at 20 in December, firmly recessionary and massive deterioration from the peak. Like, I believe that. Well, let's put it out there. When I was a real estate agent, before this housing boom like no one has ever seen in their lifetime, it was not uncommon to on a good price property to get quite a few showings. That was no. But during the pandemic and forward, you would literally have buyers at houses the whole time it was active. Like for a weekend, it would be starting on Friday morning at 9, and it would go from 9 to 9 daily. And you would fight to get an appointment, and you would fight to get in to be able to write an offer. But to be honest, the agents themselves wouldn't be accepting offers till Monday or Tuesday anyway. So, I mean, the only reason why you were going early is if one, the agent decided to take such a great offer that they took it off the market, which would happen. You have to ask yourself, what kind of offer would that have to be for them to take it off the market so quickly? The second one, you know, I like to have my buyers kind of learn. Like, I like to have my buyers be able to think about if they want to make an offer on a property. I don't like them to have to make a snap decision like within 20 seconds. So that's where I'm at there. Darth Powell, he's going to show up again. He is convinced that housing is a wealth transfer Ponzi scheme. What do I mean by that? What does he mean by that? So in the Atlantic piece, everyone was loving the Atlantic piece. I didn't read it today because I don't really want to read. I don't want to read something paywalled and then show you something that's paywalled and we can't talk about it. But anyway, it says Kay Hertz aptly described homeownership as a Ponzi scheme, and it is, in other words, a massive upfront transfer of wealth from younger people to older people on the implicit promise that when those young people become old, there will be new young people willing to give them even more money. And of course, as prices rise, the only young people able to buy into this Ponzi scheme are quite well to do themselves. I don't think someone that is, between, say, 25 and 35 in their first job with no help from their parents is buying a house at 7% interest rates in the $200,000 level. I just don't think they are. Now, obviously, I've sold houses. I've represented buyers that were in their 20s that bought, $700,000 houses, $800,000 houses. But that's an exception and not a rule. So I I mean, one of the first mistakes home buyers will make when they go out is they will say this. They will say to me, John, we're going to look for something that's a fixer upper, and we don't want to pay more than like 150,000. Okay, and then when you go out and look at houses that are 150,000 that are fixer uppers, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's going to cost more than 50,000 to get these houses fixed up." It's like, well, yeah, that's because they're fixer uppers. It's going to cost a lot more. And then they make they realize that at that moment they would have to put more money in the property than the property would sell for at the high at that moment. And they go, well, wait, this doesn't make any sense. I could buy a house that's a little more expensive and not have to do all this work. And I say, yes, that's right. That's right. That's the value of an agent that will work with you on the buyer side to, you know, get somewhere. Like if you have a buyer's agent that's just forcing you to go look at houses and saying you got to buy, you got to buy, you got to buy, that is not the agent that you want to be working with. So, um, as far as this Ponzi scheme idea, um, I mean, my parents didn't pay $200,000 for their home. It's probably worth 3 right now, even with the decline in the. But they've lived in their house for so long. I I think that I think there's a component of inflation in there that that is fake. Um, I don't know how. I mean, how do I? Let me just put it out there. Why do I think it's fake? Um, because you can see the currency being manipulated. You can see the credit rate being manipulated by the Fed. You can see we didn't have money for some things, but we had billions for the war in Ukraine, and we continue to have billions. It doesn't make any sense. We had this spending bill at $1.7 trillion. They're going to add to a current debt of like I think we're like 37 trillion or something. It's 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 massive, and so I just I don't I don't and like I mean just look at look at everything. Look at cars. Okay, have they gotten more complicated as time's going on? Yes. Are they more reliable? Probably. But at what cost? Significant. Houses, new houses. They're building a new development right across the street from me. The houses are ugly. They're on very small lots, and they are selling for 2 times what a house of the similar size would go for in my community, and people will happily buy them. So I just if people keep buying things, you're going to have. I mean, you're going to have inflation based on that. It's a very it's a very interesting issue. And then somebody writes, then gold, food, and other commodities are also Ponzi schemes that go up in price over the long run too. It's just less exaggerated because you can't get a 30-year mortgage on gold and pump the price. The fiat dollar and easy credit are the real Ponzi bring back free market money. I agree with that. It's like it's. I mean, I don't know. I think that and that's then the other issue is you talk about home affordability. And so you read someone's going to build a new affordable housing community and you're like, "Oh, that's great. We're going to get affordable housing." Not really. Not really. Your definition of affordable and their definition of affordable are two vastly different things. Moving on. There were a lot of good tweets tonight. I don't know why. So it says U.S. homebuilder sentiment approaching levels last seen during the early days of the pandemic. Okay, and the idea is that this is going to track, um, the housing market. That it leads the housing market, and so when that doesn't look positive going forward. This I thought was interesting, sad in a way, and really really puts things into perspective and changes the way I look at things versus the way other people look at things. Realtor can't afford his car anymore. Option to take over lease at $2,800 a month and a down payment. Option to take over lease at $2,800 a month and down payment. 2022 Mercedes-Benz G550 4MATIC. The Mercedes-Benz G-Class is a luxury off-road vehicle with military heritage that was designed for the rugged outdoors. Local vehicle, clean Carfax history report, no accidents. Private sale. I don't know that it's a private sale if it's to take over a lease. Realtor can't afford his car anymore. Now this is a the divergence between me and other agents. I will not present to you a false picture of who I am and how much money I make in the business. Other people will, quote unquote, fake it to make it. So they'll be like, look at me. I've got my G-Wagon. I got my expensive suits. Look at me. I'm a pretty bird. Look at me. And I've just never been that way. Now, when you look at me, I mean, you can see I'm not, I can't really pull it off. I can't pull the look off. So that doesn't help. But more importantly, look, when the market goes down, I don't want to be holding a G-Wagon. $2,800 a month payments for a car is ridiculous. I mean, just ridiculous. Why would you get, like, it's just, real estate agents, like, by and large, have good years and bad. They have good months and bad. And to stay in the business and just make it, you've got to just conserve capital, conserve cash. Don't go crazy if you want to make it. And even when you think you've made it, you probably haven't. So save more money. Like, any money you make, save it. Don't be blowing. Like, if this guy goes to a listing, and this is also indicative of the clients that I would have versus the clients that this fellow would have. If I go to a listing appointment with a G-Wagon to someone that's trying to sell their house, and it's on the high end, maybe $160,000, they will not use me as their agent because we have nothing in common. Even if it's leased, that'd be like, you're not for me. For the most part. Now, other people, maybe in the higher income brackets, would say, oh, well, I have a 2022 G-Wagon, so I'm better than you. I'll use you though, because we both like Mercedes, expensive SUVs. Can't compete with that. I can't compete with that. And I won't. Is this a window into things to come for real estate agents? A lot of agents will be out of the business. Yes. Do I feel bad about it? No, because we all have bad years. We all have bad times. You just have to be smart with your money. Move on. Darth Powell again. We don't have a lack of home buyers problem. We have a price problem. It says exactly. It's not even an interest rate problem, really. Rising rates only brought to light for many people how unaffordable homes had become. That's true. I think that's right. I think that's right. It's an affordability problem. Okay, but it's affordability on a huge scale, and it impacts only so many people. some of the more wealthy clients that I know would be buying houses in cash right now. They wouldn't even think about um, a mortgage. They don't care. Some of those would also be, trying to get a mortgage for, a stupid amount and not care. It just depends. But the people that, up to maybe I'm up to $500,000 in St. Louis, those people, you could get a $500,000 house when rates were 2%, but when they're 7%, 6%, 6.5%, hard. Got to be making a good amount of money. Moving on, we might have a shorter show tonight. We'll just see. Now, this is our articles for tonight. 5 reasons this isn't a repeat of the housing crash in 2008. I never said it was a rehash of the 2008 housing crash. I just think that it's possible that you can draw parallels to anything. And I forgot the word that I wanted to use. But when they say like everything's just like Hitler, and you're like, I don't think that's a good word that I can't remember. A good comparison, we'll say. Yeah, I don't think that's the right, because all of a sudden then everything's just like Hitler, and it doesn't make any sense. So I don't believe that, but I think you can always compare and contrast with any point in time and get an answer. So when people say it's not like 2008, well, whatever does happen probably isn't going to happen the same way as 2008, but things can happen. It says as many homeowners are still haunted by the 2008 housing crash when property values collapsed and foreclosures spiked, I have never talked to somebody who was affected negatively by the 2008 housing crash. I mean, like, I've heard people that had to rent their homes out and didn't want to do so for 5 years. But I haven't heard about many people with their foreclosure situation. That's just me, though, and I'm sure it's true. The memory of sudden catastrophe at a time when the real estate market had been riding high may help explain why 41% of Americans say they now fear a housing crash in the next year, according to a new survey from LendingTree. Now, I would just want to ask you, how many people, what percentage of the population at any point in time would be fearing a housing crash within the next year? I, as I sit here tonight, I always have fear of a housing market crashing. I also have fears of a housing market going crazy, leading to a crash in the future. It's the Goldilocks situation, right? Or whatever the thing is about the porridge. Not too hot and not too cold. It says, are their fears well founded? It's a valid question. I don't feel like I need the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors to give his blessing about the question that I'm concerned about. Said Tuesdays at the National Association of Real Estate Forecast Summit, people are remembering the crushing and painful foreclosure crisis, so it has become a key question. Will home prices crash after the strong run-up in prices across the country over recent years? Okay, that is their question. My question will be, should home prices stay high artificially for years? At the virtual conference where leading housing economists offered their 2023 forecast for real estate market, offered assurances that the current dynamics are nothing like during the Great Recession. He pointed to several key indicators about how this market differs. Okay, let's see what he thinks. The job market remains strong. The last major housing downturn, there were 8 million job losses in a single year. Now there are virtually none. So he's discounting the fact that I believe Facebook got rid of 10,000 people. FedEx is getting ready to cut a bunch of people. Amazon cut a bunch of people. But discounting that fact, now not 8 million, right? The layoffs in the technology and mortgage industries are occurring. They haven't accumulated enough to form a net job loss. A strong job market bodes well for housing's future. And so then my counterpoint to that is, are the people that are employed like full time, or are they holding multiple positions because they can't make it any other way? Less risky loans. Yoon also noted the subprime loans that were prevalent during the 2008 housing bust are basically non-existent today. I agree with that. However, you can still get a loan with less than perfect credit, and you can still lose your job and not be able to afford your home. Underbuilding and inventory shortage. New home construction prior to the 2008 crash was amounting to 7.65 units annually. Today it's 4.6 million. Yoon points to a massive housing shortage from a decade of underproduction in the housing market. But why? Why was there an underproduction? Is it NIMBYism, not in my backyard situation? What's going on with that? Is the demand being created by artificially low interest rates? So it's masking the fact that we maybe don't need so many houses. I'm just putting stuff out there. Delinquency lows. About 10% of all mortgage borrowers were delinquent on their loans in the previous housing bust. The mortgage delinquency rate is now at 3.6%, holding at historical lows. But for how long? If you lose your job, you're not paying your mortgage at some point because you can't. And if you look at credit card debt, it has spiraled out of control. And if you look at the savings rate in the United States, it is tumbling. Ultra low foreclosure rates. Homes in foreclosure reached a rate of 4.6% during the last housing crash, as homeowners who saw their property values plunge walked away from their loans. What's to make you think that that's not going to happen again? Today, the percentage of homes in foreclosure is 0.6%, also at historical lows. He predicted foreclosures to remain at historical lows in 2023. Now, I am not here to bash on Lawrence Yoon in this capacity of forecasting home prices. It's a very hard job. You're not always going to be right. Would I take what he says to the bank? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is it because of who he is? No. I mean, he has a hard job, and I think he's wrong. Watch the employment numbers. If the employment market, goes insane, we're all toast. All these like ultra low foreclosure rates are because we have strong employment. You have bad employment and a combination of high credit card debt and low savings, you're going to have foreclosure. Now, I am of the opinion, and this is just heresy, and I'm not proud of it, okay? What I see happening, if I could use a crystal ball, I see house prices, I see the economy going right into the dumps. And with that, pretty much everything, along with continually high inflation. So just a terrible, terrible spot. And when I see this, I see the government stepping in to bail somebody out somehow, because it's going to be so bad that they're going to feel the need to do something. Now, the question is can they do anything to paper over the problems? I mean, will they go to the banks and say, you can't collect on your mortgages for the next 6 months? And then they could, understand that any rule is off the table if the economy just melts down, as it was in 2008. Would the government be silly enough to provide stimulus checks to every American to pay their mortgage for the next 6 months or a year? Would they be foolish enough to suspend the rule of law and say, okay, well, foreclosures, we're not going to allow any foreclosures for the next year? That's what I see happening. Other people are attacking this with like logic. Like the government couldn't do that. The government wouldn't do that. They would. This is a very corrupt system we're in. Rules are made to be broken. Rules for thee, but not for me. This is just the way it is. Overall, the fundamentals don't point to a housing market that is operating similar to the 2008 cycle. While home sales are slowing, prices remain up nearly 6% as of the October sales numbers compared to a year ago. Also, inventory remains low, which will keep home prices elevated. The chance of a price crash is very small due to the lack of supply. Here's the issue. It's all in kind of how you define things, and what I mean by that is, what is today here? Okay, it's all in how you define. Prices dropping quickly, prices falling. I mean, if prices continue to fall over the next 12 months, okay, they didn't fall quickly, but they continued to fall. I mean, do you see it's not good. Is it semantics we're going with? Word semantics? That's my concern, because I've seen it in our culture that we've started. Well, I mean, at least in the last 10 years, we've changed the meaning of words. So anyway, I don't agree with that. Next one, this is on realtor.com. This was a fascinating article to me. Oh, I messed up something. I just got to do that. I thought this was a very odd question. Is real estate TikTok legit? The good and bad, and how to tell the difference. Look, the real estate TikTok, the same people on real estate TikTok are those that are getting G-Wagons and now can't afford them. Like, it's all the same person. It's the fake, look at me, I'm a wonderful real estate agent and I make so much money guy or gal. When TikTok launched in 2017, it was known as a platform for viral dance videos. Since then, it's roughly 1 billion users turned to the social media app for videos on an array of topics, from comedy to cooking to some kinds called rush talk. An oddly intriguing look at sorority and fraternity recruitment process on various college campuses. I don't know anything about that. I guess I'll have to look it up. On TikTok, you can find a video about nearly anything. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, the app became a true force for marketing, buying, and selling homes at a time when in-person home tours were literally impossible. 2 weeks was all in St. Louis that you were not able to go look at homes. During the months that followed, despite the return of in-home viewings, real estate TikTok exploded. The telegenetic real estate agents who regularly posted videos had found a new way to reach home buyers and sellers. That's true. I have a TikTok channel. I haven't been on it for a while. Probably won't be. Every business tried to use the influence of TikTok for its own benefit. And so did the real estate industry, said Dustin Fox, a real estate agent and owner of Fox Homes in Fairfax, Virginia. In the post-pandemic era, TikTok forced the housing industry to change its marketing strategy. I'd say more than 1/3 of the buyers I work with are influenced by TikTok in their decisions that they make around purchasing a home. I think that's crazy. I think that's absolutely nuts. It says Lauren Matera, a real estate agent who has more than 418,000 followers on TikTok, has witnessed the changes firsthand. I started posting real estate specific content in the fall of 2020. Everything about the app makes it a resource for information, education, and entertainment. So in many ways, it makes sense. The short form video format means you can watch lots of videos quickly. In other words, she explains, you can tour 10 houses on TikTok in less time than it takes to visit one in person. You can also digest quick bites of information about the buying and selling process from agents who have gone through it with clients. Yeesh. If you're looking at a house on TikTok and not walking through it, not so much. But is TikTok a good place for home buyers and sellers to find a trustworthy agent? And can real estate TikTok really be a legitimate source for accurate information on the advice on what will likely be the biggest purchase or sale of their lives? I don't agree. This whole premise of the question is wrong. A good place for home buyers and sellers to find a trustworthy agent, as opposed to anywhere else which you could find. I mean, is there a guaranteed way to find a trustworthy agent if you don't know anyone? That's an obvious no. And then, and can real estate TikTok really be a legitimate source for accurate information and advice on what will, okay, let's cut it down. And can real estate TikTok really be a legitimate source for accurate information and advice? I mean, what information are we talking about here? If your information is you should get a mortgage to buy a house, I mean, okay, that's pretty accurate. If you don't have enough money to buy it in cash, as far as advice, no, it's terrible for advice. You see those guys, the rental bros, where they've got all these rentals and they're making all this money. You just wait until short-term rentals dry up. They're not going to be doing that anymore on TikTok. And then the biggest purchase or sale of their lives. How many people do you think? I'm just putting this out there. How many people do you think buy a home in their 20s and then never buy another home in the rest of their lives? What percentage of the US population does that? I mean, I just don't know. It says, is TikTok a good place to find a savvy real estate agent? Why do you want a savvy real estate agent? TikTok is clearly a solid marketing tool for real estate agents, but is it really a fount of knowledge? It can be, as long as it's not the only place you're seeking and verifying information. Many people on TikTok claim to be experts, but it's fairly simple to establish who is trustworthy, says Sean Martin, a Denver based real estate advisor and CEO, owner of Cash for Houses. That's who they've gone to. That Cash for Houses is the CEO of that guy is trustworthy. Wow. The first thing you should look for is certification, like a real estate license. Consider how long they've been doing this, because deep experience and knowledge are key in real estate. Okay. Martin urges buyers to vet real estate influencers on TikTok by checking out their websites and looking for Google and Yelp reviews from previous client and colleagues. You won't see a Yelp review for me because I hate Yelp. I think Yelp is dumb. See if they're affiliated with professional organizations such as the National Association of Realtors. Well, I would think so. What I think is amazing about the educational value of TikTok is you aren't just getting the details on a property, you're also getting the agent's personality. You essentially get to pre-interview a ton of agents for months. You can ask questions and vet them to see if their energy is a good match for you before picking up a phone. Or you can just watch the Deerwood Realty live stream. I stream Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. You can get a good sense of who I am as a person and as a real estate agent, and I'm not doing a stupid dance. Is TikTok a good place to learn about real estate? No. No, it's a bad idea. Cluing into real estate TikTok can be valuable for buyers and sellers who are new to the world of mortgages, interest rates, and earnest money. Many lenders and real estate agents are using the platform to offer advice and information to young home buyers, said Wesley Willoughby, a real estate specialist with the Music City Group of Benchmark Realty in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a real estate specialist. I'm also a real estate counselor. What do those things mean? Nothing. It means you're an agent. Offering advice to people that aren't looking for it, not good. Offering advice that's bad, also not good. So if you say buy right now, it's the best time to buy. Sell, it's the best time to buy. Those people are just silly. He explains that TikTok's short, attractive content enables people to easily grasp the sometimes complicated aspects of real estate. I literally have a TikTok channel where the neighbors, my neighbors, the girls next door, about 14 years old, they have no idea what the hell I'm talking about in my TikTok videos. None. And they don't, I mean, it's just like they just follow me because they're nice. That's it. In addition to carefully screening users to separate the true expert from the posers, considering the real estate laws vary from state to state, so it's essential to know what your state's rules are before taking anyone's advice on social media or elsewhere. Very odd paragraph. I think we should go over it one more time. In addition to carefully screening users to separate the true experts from the posers, which you could also do the poseurs, EURS. Consider that real estate laws vary from state to state. Well, that's obvious. So it's essential to know what your state's rules are, which you're never going to know all of them because I don't even know all of them, before taking anyone's advice on social media or elsewhere. Bad last line. So what did we get out of this? Not much. last article of the night. You remember the story we did on MV Realty? MV Realty. They were they were swindlers. I messed up so much stuff, by the way. I just realized I messed up a whole bunch of settings on my YouTube video. So there may not be anyone watching tonight. So if you are that one person that is watching, thank you. MV Realty, let me just tell you how I understood. They'll give you money right now as long as you sign a listing agreement in perpetuity for like 40 years. You must use them to sell your house. You've written it. That's how you got the money. So they're giving you, you're getting their money and they're getting your listing. It's insane. How that can be legal, I have no idea, but let's go to it. It says earlier this month, the Attorney General's office in Florida sued real estate brokerage MV Realty for what it called a complex and deceptive scheme involving the company's homeowner benefit program. I don't know that it's so complex. They're giving you cash and you're giving them your listing for the next 40 years. Now, Attorneys General Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania and Maura Healey in Massachusetts have also filed lawsuits against MV Realty and its founder, Amanda Zachman. You don't often see. It's very interesting. The homeowner benefit program gives homeowners $3,000 to $5,000 in cash as a loan alternative, which is an integral part of the homeowner benefit agreement. Now, look, they're not given, like if your house is worth less than the commission to sell it. Okay, let me change that. So let's say your house is worth $100,000. We're going to use easy numbers, okay? And the commission is 3%. Okay, the listing commission is 3%. That's $3,000. Okay. So they're not giving you $3,000 on a $100,000 house. Okay. Because that wouldn't get them any money. They're giving you like 500. And then on the larger ones, on the 5,000, I mean, shoot, they're really doing well. If say if the commission's 10,000 and they've only got to pay 5 down the road, they're in fantastic shape. The Massachusetts Attorney General accused MV Realty of using the program to target low-income and elderly consumers in immediate need of cash. Ads also included phrases such as, remember, because it's not a loan, there's no repayment, and you never repay these funds. Look, so let's kind of go over this real quick. My own personal belief is that you're saying low income people are stupid. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think that some people just didn't go well for them in their life. Something happened and it just didn't work out. So I reject the notion that low income people are stupid. And elderly consumers, I mean, if you've ever worked with elderly people, it's hard. I mean, if you have any heart at all, to see people age, and like for me, we just give people respect that have lived a long life, and we try to do the best thing possible for the person as our client. So, I mean, to target the elderly, which, by the way, I mean, hearing aid companies do it. There's reverse mortgage companies do it. It's gross. It's just a part of life that's just not so great. But anyway, my point is you don't have to target those people. When you offer free money to people, it's going to bring out anyone. So it says MV Realty conceals in its marketing and sales process material terms, including its ability to foreclose on the home, that the company only acts as a non-agent facilitator, and that if the heirs won't assume the agreement after a homeowner's death, MV Realty can foreclose, according to the Massachusetts suit. This is big. Many people the home is the only thing left of value to those person's heirs, and not and to not be able to unlock that equity through a sale with an agent that you would utilize is tough. Now, understand this has worked against me in my career. I can be great friends with an older person who passes away, and then the family doesn't know who I am, so they choose another realtor. I mean, it's happened to me more than once. Um, so that's just part of the business. I don't feel like I'm owed anything. A non-agent facilitator is a type of transaction broker that owes no duty to loyalty to the seller, has no obligation to seek the highest price the market will bear, and owes no duty of confidentiality to the seller. So the complaint reads, so now look, this is about real estate law. And as we learned in our last realtor.com article, real estate law is different in every state, rules and regulations. I would argue that this realty company probably only works in places where the agreements are such that they could get away with such a thing. I don't think that they would do it in states where they couldn't operate in this way. Also, you have to understand, if this thing's based in Florida and they're already in a couple of states, that means they're making bank. And now to be sued, because they had to know that it was coming. I mean, they've got some decent backers. The lawsuits allege that MV Realty misled and confused homeowners through this program because the contracts also required them to give the brokerage exclusive rights to sell their properties for a period of 40 years. So if you're an 80-year-old and you want to pull a fast one on somebody, you sign up for this program, you get what, $300, you get $500, and then you die and you're like, you're not going to get the money. I'm dead. What are you going to do? They foreclose on your estate and sell the house. That's what they're going to do. As presented to consumers, it entitles MV Realty to commission payment of at least 10 times the advance when the homes are sold. Nice. Of at least 10 times the advance. So if I give you $300, you owe me $3,000 on a commission. If it's $5,000 I've given you, you owe me what? 10 times the advance? That's a good amount of money. If a homeowner lists their property for sale during the 40-year term and fails to use MV as the listing broker, or in the case of a home foreclosure or cancellation of the deal, the brokerage would demand 3% of the property's value according to the contract. So even if you sold the house without them, they're still entitled to 3% commission. In addition, the program also allows MV Realty to place a lien on the home, making it difficult for homeowners to access home equity through refinancing, reverse mortgages, and home equity lines of credit. It'd be interesting to see if MV Realty is able to put the lien on when they sign the paperwork that they would say is paperwork and not a contract. Pennsylvania-based real estate brokers do not typically take a mortgage lien on their client's property before providing services, but what MV Realty is accused of doing is not disclosing these terms to consumers up front. Wow, they're putting up liens on properties at the time that they sign and give over the money. Fascinating. The Massachusetts lawsuit says the brokerage website made no reference to a lien or mortgage. In the FAQ section of its website, which we read, MV Realty says under the question, do you file a lien on my house? No, we file a memorandum. The purpose of the memorandum is to serve public notice to the homeowner's obligation under the HBP agreement. Wow. It allows them to place a lien, but we're playing with word salad here. The Attorney General in Florida stated these liens are illegal under Florida law. MV Realty made more than 9,123 public record filings that might cloud homeowners' titles, and Hillsborough County is one of the counties with a high number of public record filings. According to the Attorney General's office, at least 588 people in Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia have signed up for the program. So I'm a little bit confused. Don't make fun of me. I'm old. I almost couldn't work a soda machine today, a fountain machine. How did they make 9,123 public record filings when there were at least 588 people in North? I mean, that's like many times more than the amount of clients they had or were supposed to have had. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania believes MV Realty's practices are in violation of the Unfair Trade Practices and Consumer Protection Law and calls for civil penalties against the brokerage. Is it going to be one of those cases where the civil penalties aren't high enough to make it matter? MV Realty can still continue this path. I mean, this is what makes real estate brokers and real estate agents look like terrible people, because this is a terrible thing to do. The Pennsylvania homeowners are falling victim to MV Realty's calculated deception and hiding the terms of the homeowner benefit program. What I like, though, is they call it a homeowner benefit program. It's just like anything in Congress. It does the exact opposite of what the name implies. MV Realty is a scam that exploits Pennsylvanians in vulnerable financial situations, and my office isn't buying it. My office will protect homeowners' most important asset, the value of their real estate. The Pennsylvania lawsuits note that 1,000 mortgages are tied to MV Realty and estimating there could be more. So they've got 1,000 there. So see how fast this happens? I mean, this company, I never even heard of them, and now they're all over. I say all over, they're at least in Florida, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. Through the court order in Pennsylvania, the suit seeks restitution for people who suffered losses and wants the company to strike all mortgages recorded in every county, refrain from further contracts with Pennsylvania-based consumers, pay $1,000 in civil penalties for each violation of a consumer. So that's only 1,000 mortgages, and then pay $3,000 for every violation where the consumer is 60 years or older. I think that's ridiculous. I think you should pay $3,000 for every violation. The lawsuit filed in Massachusetts accuses MV Realty of falsely marketing the HBA to consumers as a loan alternative based on the complaint's interpretation. It is a method of paying homeowners a median cash advance of $1,150 in exchange for the homeowner's agreement to give the brokerage rights to sell their homes for a 40-year term. The HBA is secured by a power of sale mortgage on the homeowner's property, which permits non-judicial foreclosure in the event of a breach. Based on the terms of the HBA and MV's business model, MV is a financial institution peddling a usurious financial instrument while masquerading as a real estate brokerage firm. That's a very interesting argument. Don't know if it's true. The Massachusetts AG also alleges that the company uses deceptive marketing techniques, including mortgaging homeowners' properties, which violates Massachusetts law. So it's almost like what are those things? Like they used to be the check into cash places. I don't even know if those people are still in business anymore. I haven't looked around lately. The AG's office filed for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction to ban the brokerage from offering further contracts to consumers in the state. I think that should be the case with most states, to be honest. I mean, this is so egregious. And if legislatures don't have anything on the books for this type of business, it should be stopped. There should be a law put in place immediately. This is just absolutely devastating for people of all types, of all economic backgrounds. MV Realty's business model and contract terms are unconscionable, targeting elderly and financially vulnerable homeowners who are short on cash, only to leave them with agreements they don't understand and can't get out of. We're soon to get homeowners out of these contracts, protect our residents from the scheme, and stop this predatory company from doing any more business here in Massachusetts. That's great. That's wonderful. I think that should be done immediately. Lawsuit seeks a civil penalty of $5,000 for each violation, as well as cost of investigation, litigation of the violations, and reasonable attorney's fees, plus payment to consumers in the amount of their actual costs and damages and other equitable costs. MV Realty sold more than 500 HBAs to that. So what are we doing? Quick math here. 5,000. 5,000 times 500. 2.5 million. Not enough. Not enough to keep them from doing business there. I mean, what a terrible company. What a terrible company. They deserve nothing but scorn, failure, contempt. That's my opinion. Well, you should put your opinion in the comment section below or put it in the chat. I'm going to head on out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you on the next one, which will be tomorrow night at 9. Come visit. Bye.